Hey everybody, so I'm Kevin from Imperial Surplus.
I'm Carlos, also known as Crimson Carlos on Instagram.
So I invited Carlos up to the shop because I had this crazy idea for a while, Halloween themed pumpkins, clone helmets, merging those two ideas together. So it originally started with using this style helmet, and a long time ago I made a sketch like this of converting the helmet to look sort of like a pumpkin and giving it sort of the ribs and textures like a pumpkin. And so I asked Carlos, hey, I got this kind of project idea, would you like to come up and help? Let's maybe make a couple of helmets. And then this morning when we started bringing out the helmets, our imagination started running wild. So Carlos, what other helmets and characters are we now going to be adding to this collection?
Well, I kind of started with Rex because you said, what kind of helmet are you going to want to do? And I was like, hey, you know, on the way up here, I was kind of thinking about how Rex's like helmets pieced together, and it gave me the idea of Frankenstein.
Right.
And then you came up with the name Captain Frankenrex.
Yes.
So then from there, I was like, well, what if we did like this whole, instead of just a jack-o'-lantern and a Frankenstein, it was this whole idea of like a theme of Halloween helmets.
Characters.
Right.
Right. So then we said, well, why not wolf? Right?
Yeah.
And so we're going to be doing a Commander werewolf. So it'll be kind of, you know, the typical Halloween werewolf, but kind of morphed into Commander Wolf. So kind of like this nice hybrid. And then we went down the line with Commander Jet. And I wanted to kind of go with the kind of same kind of pumpkin theme, so we're going to call that Jet-O-Lantern, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And then of course the last one was the BOO-KATAN helmet, and what are we doing for that?
BOO-KATAN.
BOO-KATAN. We're going to be making it kind of like a ghost theme with. So these are kind of our inspiration colors that we had in front of the helmet. So, well, we just really want to have fun with this and just kind of be creative, and we are going to cut out the helmets as we normally would, meaning doing the visor cutout or the back off mod that we normally would do on all of our helmets. So you can check out the tutorial on that on the website imperialsurplus.com. So we're gonna get these all prepped as far as, like I just said, cutting out the lenses, cutting out the back off, and then we will get into the fun of using different materials such as Bondo, epoxy, spot putty, whatever it may be to create the texture and the look and the kind of metamorphosis between the typical clone characters into these kind of Halloween themed characters, right?
Yep, it's all about having fun at the end of the day.
Exactly. So stay tuned, see what we have to work with. We'll show you, like I said, different materials, different techniques. So I'm excited about this.
I'm excited also. Hope you guys enjoy.
So Carlos and I have gone through all the helmets and did all the trimming. As I mentioned before, we would be trimming these out so we can make these wearable. I think I'm going to start with the werewolf.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I'll probably start with that one.
And then I'll start off with Captain Frankenrex.
Yep. All right. So yeah, I think it's best, as I was saying, to kind of pencil out your idea, what you want, before you jump right into your final work. So I've got mine pretty well sketched out, and Carlos, you got yours.
Same with Rex. The next step I'm going to move on to is most Frankenstein pictures. He had a cut going down his head, and there's always at least a staple or two holding them together. So I want to kind of pay homage to that, to like the old classic Frankenstein. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to carve that in right now with the Dremel. And I want to serve these as like 3 staples, kind of add the detail in. So I'm going to cut a little bit of a gash in there as well.
Okay. And I think what I'm going to do is, now that I've drawn in the teeth, the front teeth, I'm actually going to, after you're done with the Dremel, kind of cut back on that a little bit so that the teeth are actually a little more exposed. Yeah. And then I'll go in with either like the skull putty stuff, and maybe add a little detail to the teeth, and then like for the gum line and the snarl, I'll probably end up doing that with Bondo.
Okay, cool. Okay. You kind of just gave me an idea with these little wooden dowels. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna add a little bit of Bondo, and I'll be sticking a little like hole, kind of like a little pinhole into each.
Yeah.
And then I could use the wire to kind of add like that effect of that, you know, real stitching, as if it looks like we really stitched this helmet.
Three-dimensional depth to it. All right, that sounds good. All right, so we're gonna just mix up a little bit of Bondo for us. So the reason why we sketched everything out in pencil first is because that would give us our placement of where we're going to be putting the Bondo. So yeah, I'm just going to work directly with the applicator, and what I'm going to try to do is work on building the nose up. So it's a little difficult when it's this creamy. I should have used straight Bondo, but since I had this already pre-mixed ready to go, I'll work with what I got. I'm just kind of feathering this out because I want this to be kind of like this. I'm going to build this up. I'm going to be scratching into it as it starts to thicken up a little bit, but that edge right along the teeth is what I want to be quite smooth looking. So as it starts to set, I can kind of get it to look a little bit more like hair, a little bit more fuzzy and so forth. And oh, you know what? So these are the decals that I normally include in the helmet kits, but I'm going to give myself a registration of where they are. And I think I'm actually going to make these look like gashes and maybe turn it to like blood or something there. Alright, so for my werewolf, I decided to get some cardboard and I just folded it on the ridges to make ears. So let's see, this one is going to go, I can't see it backwards, yeah, this one goes on this side. I made a little pencil line, so it's going to go about like that. And this one's going to go about like that. And kind of want it like in that kind of almost that tack position where the ears are kind of pointed backwards. So I'm going to CA glue this in place and then use Bondo to smooth it and texture it as well.
I'm still continuing to, you know, Bondo some hair onto Frank and Rex. Give them that messy look. That messy just got out of bed look.
And then I'm going to use like a Q-tip to kind of help keep the CA glue in place. One thing I've noticed is whatever chemical to use to keep the Q-tips white also seems to activate the CA glue. I like using the Zap-A-Gap CA glue, but I do have the kicker, so I can put a little bit of that. I don't want too much because I want this to dry quick so I can get the Bondo applying, but Q-tips are really good to help kind of clean up. And so that's kind of like one ear. That's what we're looking at here. Just want to make sure they're glued in really good. Like once I do the Bondo, they're not coming off, but just want to make sure it's pretty good. So thinking something like that. What do you think, Carlos?
Oh, I love that. That is awesome. So now that I've got all like the hair textured and everything, I added a little bit of Bondo texture to give it like, you know, raised skin. Kind of like I mentioned earlier when you bring two pieces together. So now since this is based off of Frankenstein, I'm adding all the stitching. And for stitching, what I'm doing is I'm cutting black wire. Once that's cut, I get the pliers again, hold it. And then I'm getting a little bit of CA glue. And I'll have the kicker ready. And then I choose essentially which way I'm gonna have it face. Put in a little hole I made with the little dowels. I'll bend it over like so. There we go. And then I'll kick it. Voila, stitching.
So I'm working on the actual teeth and gum line. Can you see that? So I'm working on this side here, trying to get like the gum and the teeth. I'm just kind of using my fingers and stuff to shape that, and I'm just using the JB Weld. Stuff stinks, but it works well. It dries really hard, and I just kind of stretch it out to kind of start to make the gum line. Just start it over there. And just build it up with my finger. All right, so to do a tooth, I just kind of try to roll it to like a kind of like a cone shape, and just set that point in where I'm going to want it. Push out the rest, and then just shape that down in. I'm kind of just doing like a half round of the cone of the tooth, not like a full exposed tooth. And then again, I can kind of go back and I want to shorten it. I'm going to actually divide that up where part of that is the gum line. Like that, and then kind of shape the tooth a bit more. Sort of like that. Let's see, like that. Sort of like that. Alright, so we've both got the basic sculpt done with Bondo and spot putty. And
Wiring.
yeah. So just, and cardboard for the ears, so kind of different mediums, different techniques.
Yeah, definitely.
But, you know, it's kind of at that point now where it looks strange, but I think once we start to get like maybe the first coat of primer, it starts to look like a solid color. It'll really help us see, you know, the definition of the detail that we put into it.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, I'm sure right now you're seeing all these different colors, you know, but everything will make sense once we start putting, you know, primer and paint and everything. And I think that's the paint is what's going to really bring everything to life.
Yes,
but
yeah.
you know, these details we added definitely make, you know, add to everything. This is the part that was the most fun to me. Is we're sitting here coming up with ideas and, you know, trying to get creative with it. So,
Exactly.
you know, Kevin, you did an awesome job with the werewolf.
Thanks. You know, I actually used my dog's nose as reference. I took a photo of that.
Oh, for a second I thought you said you used your dog's actual nose.
No. I took a photo just kind of get that reference there. You know, just, you know, a little bit of nostril detail and whatnot.
Yeah, no,
that
it came out
snarl
great.
kind
Yeah.
of, but and then, you know, adding kind of teeth, finding that happy medium between, you know, Commander Wolf versus now Commander Werewolf. You know, a nice little blend. But yeah, you know, it's kind of one of those weird metamorphosis things. But I think we're ready to move on to the next phase with these. We're gonna let them cure just a little bit more before we do that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm very excited for
Oh,
what we've
so
got
am
so
I.
far. So hopefully you guys are kind of enjoying what we're doing. I know it's a little bit out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
But you know, that was kind of our idea to do something completely different.
Yeah.
So,
Looking good, buddy.
Yep. So we're going to move on to the next stage of priming, painting, so forth. So, yep, that's our next move.
Stay tuned.